The world is changing and many people are living in fear. Join me on this journey as we find new ways to love more, celebrate life, and connect with our body, mind, and our souls. Together, we'll let go of fear and embrace our power. Welcome to Fearless Spirit with Tara Cridland. Hello. Welcome back. I'm really excited to be recording again. I actually took a little time off on purpose. I had some big changes going on in my life, and I made a decision for self-care first. So just to kind of catch you up right now, I moved from Southern California all the way to Oregon. And it was a very sudden, blessed-filled, just a wild ride. Today I've been thinking about I like to create themes, right? I want to create themes for what the podcast is all about. And so one of the themes that has been running around is it's kind of a two-part, right? So it's kind of like how can you get really comfortable in the uncomfortable for the growth's sake. So growth as in growing big in your spirit, and also getting comfortable with just jumping into or walking through the unknown. And so this is the story I'm going to share today. Today, I've been here this is my beginning of my third week. So I actually decided, because I have my own deadlines that I like to create to release the podcast, and I might actually be increasing it. Anyway, the deadline was right in the middle of my move, and we were packing up everything and starting again. And so because of that, I wanted to make sure that, that I was taking good care of myself and making sure that I had all the things I needed, which was rest, time to focus on packing what was important, getting rid of what was no longer needed, and heading forth. And so, little story is I've been in a situation for the last year that was completely divinely planned. It was an uncomfortable situation, yet needed. And we were in a family home helping out a not well family member. And one of the family members that was there who requested the help wasn't quite so happy about the help after all. So there was a little bit of conflict and uncomfortableness that was happening. And in that, looking at it, even during the time I was there, I was so uncomfortable. This was my partner's family, and I felt very unwelcomed in that. And yet my spirit team, even when I was channeling, so I do channel a collective called the Higher Self Collective. And even they were saying I was there by divine design, and to be open to the metamorphosis and transformations that were beginning to happen for me because of this, because I wasn't in victim mode in this. What I was in was the allowing of the uncomfortableness of being in that situation and allowing myself to find compassion, continuing to stay focused on what my soul's growth was, continuing to work on my own. Excuse me, I'm going to pause for a second and cough. I'm in a new environment, and so I am getting a little bit of morning froggy throat, which I had out in LA too. But it's beautiful here. And so once again, just coming back to that is understanding why I was there. It was a two-part deal. My partner he's just amazing. He is also a relationship and trauma release coach. He does plant medicine ceremonies for healing, deep clarification, and trauma release. And so him and I both walk the walk and talk the talk. And we were there because the one part of his life that has been inviting for him to do is to begin to lovingly release the obligation of being the oldest child in a Latino family where he's the only boy. And I say boy because that's how they talk about it, but he's the only male. And in his family, it is very much about the male child, in particular, and the oldest being responsible in that tradition of his family. I'm not going to speak for all families. I'm not going to speak for all Latino families. I'm going to speak for his family. And in that was an invitation that really at the end of the day, there was not an invitation, that his family didn't really want him in charge anymore. And with love, he was learning how to begin to release those constraints. He was beginning to release the obligations that he had felt throughout his life. He was, this was his little last bit of, I guess you can call, we all have codependency in some way or another, right? The journey of releasing that is never ending. Just as we uncover big layers, there's always another layer. And so this was a huge layer for him. And for me, this was me to be in an environment where it wasn't actually physically safe. I have an autoimmune disease, and flour, gluten can make me very ill. And one of the family members is very into making her sourdough bread. And so there was a lot of flour floating around. And so I had to kind of keep myself in my room. And you're thinking, like, why didn't you just leave? Trust me, I wanted to so many times. But here's where this is where I want to share with this, because there is a bigger picture at play. And that is that, oh man, did I want to? And I would sit and I would channel and I would meditate and I connect with my guides, and they tell me not yet. And I would just think, like, why the heck am I in this situation? But in the reality, and my partnership and got stronger and had stronger foundation built. We were such a solid team. We had such great boundaries set up for the situation. In spite of it all, we had very strong boundaries, and ultimately those boundaries were honored. And it was in a way that made the other family members slightly uncomfortable because they're not doing their work. And yet at the same time, it was a strengthening. Now, the other thing that was happening was I was there because a part of me is a control freak. A part of me wants to control my entire environment and have the full say in it, and everyone else just go along. Now, I'm openly admitting that here, but I work really hard, and I work really hard every day of releasing that. And in this situation, I had to completely let go. I had to completely let go of all control. I had to choose to just take care of myself. I didn't get to have a say in how the house was run. I didn't get to have a say about how the family member was taken care of. I didn't have a say in anything. And it wasn't because I couldn't have, I could have. It was because I was being invited to also not take on the obligation of becoming the control freak. And because of that, I had a much deeper healing happen. And then the time had come to a close. And the moment I decided that I was ready to go, everything literally fell into place. And this is where being okay, being comfortable in the uncomfortable, being comfortable in this unknown is so powerful. Because then once my lessons were learned, and I think it's a very different experience when you realize, like, oh, I'm going through this for lesson learning. I'm going through this for soul's growth. I'm going through this for purpose, that I was able to lean in more fully with love, with everything, and not be caught up in the appearance of things. And I say this now because I'm through it. And even when I was in it, I was understanding that the entire way. It's such a strange and wonderful experience when you are able to get to a level through a lot of commitment. And I don't want to say hard work, because I don't know if it is necessarily hard as much as it is a commitment to your own soul's growth, right? So to be willing to show up internally every day for myself in my soul's growth, in the growth of helping my clients in this midst of this chaos, it allowed me to become this strong, unshakable, foundational, spiritual person that I wasn't even a year ago. And I'm pretty advanced now. I'm almost 50. So I've been on this path for almost 30 years, very consciously on this path for 30 years. And so just to share with you, the moment I said, okay, I'm complete, I'm no longer willing to be here. There were just some things that came into play that made me realize that it was time for me to go. And the moment I did that and told my partner, like, it's time for us to go, he's like, yes, I'm on it. I opened myself up. I actually was guided by the Higher Self Collective. I did some channeling sessions for myself and recorded them. And in that guidance was, do not ask, for we're preparing the way for you. Just keep acting as if you know this is already done. And they even said in human time, because we have to remember, we experience time here on this planet very differently than anywhere else in any dimension, vibration, frequency, or any other place. And so being reminded that in this time, they said the changes and the new place to live will be happening very soon. Fast forward like a week later, I'm on the phone with my daughter and just explaining where I'm at, and then I'm ready to go. And I literally got 2 offers to live in 2 different locations, almost immediately without asking. And one of the invitations was to come to Oregon. And my aunt had been trying to get me to move here for years. She's been trying to get me around her for many years. My father passed away when I was 17, and that was her brother, and they were very close. And personality-wise, me and my youngest daughter are very similar in personality to my dad. So I feel like she loves me. And also, it's a way of having her brother close again, which I totally love and honor. And so she's been trying to get me to come here for years. And it turns out she had a house. She had a house that she put on the market that was an extra house, basically. So she found her dream home and moved out of the house I'm now currently living in to live in her dream home just across the bridge, 10 minutes from where I live. In this area right now, there's a couple of things happening, right? Things are not selling right now. This year is a very tumultuous year. It's a year of elections with a lot of uncertainty. And between that and the rising of just a lot of different things and factors. I used to be in property management, so I personally can go into that, but I won't, because this is not what this podcast is about. But long story short story long, I like to say, because I never tell short stories. I always go the long route, and I love it about myself. Is she invited me to come and take over the house. It wasn't selling. She took it off the market. And now my partner and I and my youngest daughter at this time are living in this amazing round house. Yes, round. The house is perfectly round. It looks from the aerial views like a big top tent or yurt. It's so cool. I love it. I have property. And my aunt basically said, do what you want with it. And eventually, if you want to, you can buy it and I'll give it to you for a great cost. Now, yes, oh yeah, my family can give that to me, but I'm going to give you a backstory. My family has never given me anything. My family loves me, but I come from a family where everyone believes that you take care of yourself. You got to figure it out. So I've never been handed large amounts of money unless it was an inheritance. Unexpectedly, I did have that once, not expecting that at all. But other than that, basically, with love, everyone's expected to take care of themselves. And so for this to happen actually is out of character for her even. And this is where I know my spirit team kind of had a play in it. And even in the channeling, they said, the house is not going to sell. We set that up for you as you requested. So I am living in this beautiful home. It's on the top of a hill, and I'm overlooking rooftops, trees, and in the distance is the ocean. And I get to look at that every day now. And this came from the result of being willing to be in a space of uncomfortableness, being willing to be in a space of uncomfortableness for an extended amount of time, not knowing when it was going to come to an end, just trusting the process. And I say this because many a times for us as humans, we don't grow without pain. What I mean by that is most people I'm going to say this with experience, not only in my own life, but with working with a lot of clients. Most of us are not willing to grow until we're in pain. That's reality. Part of being in your ascension process is actually being willing to change without the pain, to be willing to do the work before it hurts. And even in that, sometimes it can be painful. And in this experience I had over the last year, it could have been painful. It could have been something that was so hard and difficult. And I could have played the victim role, and I could have dove into this being the victim. And instead, I chose to dive into that whole experience full board with love, with compassion, with looking at the higher purpose, perspective, with looking at what was the magic within that, what was the soul growth opportunity within that. Why was I being invited to do that? And how did I go ahead and just make the changes? And there was a lot. There was a lot of things within me that have been shedding. So I had my progressive chart read for astrology. So I did have my colleague on a couple of episodes ago, and she and I talked about life path astrology. And one of the things that we did is we did a progressive chart reading for me. And in that chart, it actually showed that I am currently in this stage for the next 3 years of having an intense shedding. And you can look at that and go, oh my God. But really what it is the intense shedding isn't about my life falling apart. It's about shedding all the things that are not resonating with me, that are no longer authentically me, or maybe have never authentically been me. And getting rid of, letting die, removing, disintegrating, whatever you want to call it, those parts of myself that have been false, that were there for protection, that were there for validation, that were there to be approved by others, to be willing to release all of that and just be 100% authentically me. And by doing that and leaning into it, I was able to go through that entire process for the last year with grace. I was able to lean in and understand why it was happening. I was able to continue to do my work and also practice what I teach. So I'm not just someone standing on the pulpit or podium, or Zoom is more like it these days, and preaching about how to make changes in your life without actually doing it myself, right? I'm constantly living what I teach. And I'm using that in my own lived experiences as a way to expand and to also say, hey, I've been there with you. I know what you're going through. And I also know that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. And I kind of know a way to get there. But your path might look a little different, but I can still lead you there. And I've learned this since I was young, of like, instead of saying, why is this happening to me in a victim mode, of saying, okay, why is this happening to me? What is the bigger purpose? And why am I experiencing this? Not only just for my own soul's growth, but to serve humanity. And so now we are in this amazing house, and I'm able to cook in the kitchen. I've been cooking so much because I have a full real oven. It's amazing. Garage, yard. And let me tell you, this yard is full of what people would consider weeds. And I've been looking up every variation of plant to see what it is. And I'm going to harvest all of it before we chop it down, because literally this yard is full of medicine. There's literally wildflowers that are considered an invasive plant that actually treat menopause symptoms. There's another nettle type of plant that is huge back there that is good for men's health, that can actually be dried and made into tinctures, poultices, and also teas for men's health. Believe it or not, this house is full of dandelions, and most people find those weeds. Did you know dandelions are actually the most potent medicine on this planet? The entire plant is edible, medicinal and has so many uses from the tip of its flowers or little puffballs, whatever those are, the seedlings, all the way down to the roots. And you can use those, dry them, put them in salads, dry the roots, use this as tea, make them into tinctures, create cough syrup. It is one of the most powerful medicines for your heart. And so those are growing everywhere. I actually collected all the dandelion little seedlings. That's that little puffball. They do that because then it flies through the air and then they fall and plant and grow. You can collect those, literally put them in a jar with a wet paper towel, close it and stick it in the windowsill, excuse me, and literally grow yourself sprouts from dandelions that are super nutritious. There's another plant back there that has these beautiful little flowers that turns out treats poison oak, which, by the way, there's poison oak here. I have huckleberry bushes everywhere. They're so cool. And so where I'm going with that is I went from a space where it seemed very small and dark, where it seemed very constrictive in the external physical world, but my internal, my spiritual world was growing. In that previous situation, I was literally laying a strong foundation, learning how to make my connection with my internal world so much stronger, regardless of the external world. And it connected me and my abilities to spirit so much more deeply than I've ever been connected to in my life. It reminds me that for many people who are experiencing trauma, who've had hard lives, it makes you feel like, why is this happening to me? But what I've experienced and learned, and have even learned through channeling, through working with other people, is that that is what wakes the soul up. It is what shows you that you can be strong. It shows you that you can actually turn yourself into a powerful, highly gifted person because of what you are going through. Learning that in that pain can become healing. That most people who are mediums, actually everyone who's a medium or psychic, has had some form of a near-death experience or some trauma in their lives. And in my own personal belief, now I could be wrong, but this is my own personal belief, is when these things happen, we have these pivotal moments within where we can decide to exit this world or we choose to stay. But because of this experience, we might have one foot in the spirit world and one foot in the physical world. And so when we choose to stay in this planet, we have a different connection to spirit. And why does that happen? For many of us, it's because we are here by our choice. We chose to live this life. We created this life for ourselves with the intention of serving humanity. We can get caught up in the trauma and the pain and forget that that's why we chose to have these experiences. And that's okay, because maybe in this life, because you have free will, you get to choose instead that you are going to use this time to just work on yourself. Maybe that's how you're serving humanity this time around. Maybe you are choosing to do this because your soul needed that growth time, and that's okay. You working on yourself is serving humanity, because as you shine your light brighter, you're actually showing by example to others that are around you, just because you exist, that it's possible. So you don't have to be a healer. You don't have to be a coach. You don't have to be anything but you. And you're still serving humanity. And so if you're going through a really tough time, or you've had some serious trauma in your life, I really invite you to do your healing work, knowing that, no, it was not your fault. No, you didn't ask for it. But we do agree to have experiences that will expand us and make us stronger. And maybe it showed up a little bit more harshly than you originally planned it to be. And we get to choose how we heal from that. We get to choose if we're going to stay in the victim mode, or if we're going to come through this stronger, with better boundaries, with more love for ourselves, with more compassion to the rest of the world, because we now know what it feels like to be in pain. And use that incredibly uncomfortable time of our lives to be a beacon of light for others. And so I sit here now in such deep gratitude. I'm in such deep gratitude because right now, everything is falling into place finally. And it is life. There will be a bump in the road. But instead, I choose to learn how to surf it instead of fall into it. And that's where it becomes painful or easy, right? I tell my clients all the time, you can do this the easy way or you can do it the hard way. And what that means is we're going to go through it no matter what. If you want to go kicking and screaming and resist it the whole way, it's going to be really painful and it's going to be hard. But if you can lean into this experience knowing that there is a purpose behind it, that there is a soul growth opportunity happening, and that you get to be a better version of yourself if you're willing to go through it with curiosity, with pleasure, with joy, that you can come out the other side as someone who is so much stronger, that has a bright light, that is the walking example of what it means to be healthy, no longer in codependent behavior, no longer in toxic behavior, living the most energized life you get to live. I see this in my own life. I see this with my clients' lives. I just want to share that with you. And I really just want to drop in and let you know what's going on here. Just celebrating that after many years of living in homes that were not fully mine, that were, usually surrounded with roommates or even, and, let me rephrase that because I did have a really cute little apartment in Mexico. But really quickly, I ended up having a roommate that needed help that kind of took over. And that was okay because right when it was time for me to leave, they were able to take over the lease. So it was perfect. But it made it so that I couldn't fully have the house to myself. For the first time now, the people that are in the home with me are my family and not the first time, but the first time in many years. They are purely my family. We're all in alignment with what we want. We have this loving relationship, super healthy, highly communicative, and we all get to just be ourselves in this environment. Nobody has to pretend. And that is so precious. And so just really celebrating that. Whew. I went through 2 years, and let me tell you, I am a highly sensitive person. It used to be that I was sensitive in my emotions, that I wanted everyone to like me. Turns out I'm what in human design, what's called a self-projected projector. So we're here on this planet to help guide and help others, to heal others. And it's very wounding for us when we're not invited in, or people don't recognize us or don't love us. And so what our challenge is to learn how to do that for ourselves, right? To stop expecting others to do that for us, but to learn how to really recognize and love ourselves so that we don't need that external validation until it's time for that person to work with me, getting the help that they need. That's when it's important for that to happen. Other than that, it's more important for me to just really deeply love and appreciate myself and who I am and just be me. So that's a wounding that most projectors have to go through, is to learn how to really love ourselves and not worry about what others think of us, and just trust that when it's time to help someone, that they are here because they did recognize us and they're inviting us. And that's the person we can help because they will actually benefit from our light. And so trusting that means I don't go out and let everyone like, hey, I can help you. Hey, I can help you. I don't do that anymore. Even in my own private clients, I give you the link, but it's up to you to book that session. And the reason why is because that's your skin in the game. That's you saying, okay, I recognize that I'm co-creating this healing experience with you. Therefore, I'm willing to put myself into that action to say yes to my healing. So when clients come to me, my clients are very self-responsible. I've gotten very discerning on who I take on as clients because I am here to hold your hand as long as you're the one taking the steps. And I'm just helping you not fall off that stepping stone. But in reality, what's really happening is you're the one willing to take those steps, right? I can't take them for you. because that's what I learned. The biggest lesson I learned in my own life and in everyone I helped is if I do it for you, you don't learn, you don't retain it, you're not willing to change. The transformation doesn't happen. You just stay in victim mode and you just keep repeating it. Even in my work, I require my clients be deeply self-responsible, that they are the ones who step forward and that they say, yes, I'm ready to work with you. And they pay their package price or their session and they make their appointment and they show up because that is their energetic commitment to themselves to actually become this transformed person who has this healing. One of the things that I'm celebrating is I got so clear on what I want to do. I've been a coach for so long. I've been a massage therapist for so long. And what's come online for me that I've been doing for a while now, but got really clear that I want to specialize in is I do remote healings. And they're not like the typical remote healings. And I recognized that the other day. I am a Reiki master. That is the most common energy healing people know about. But in reality, there's many different types of energy healing. And I have also done a year-long intensive shamanic training, and I do have an energy healing I was attuned to through that shamanic training. But my guides combined all of that with my own unique abilities. And so I offer what they call energy healing attunements. And I was not sure why they were called attunements for so long, right? Attune means to me like getting in tune. That makes sense. Okay, sure. So we're to balance out your energies. But really what's been happening since I started this journey and have really opened myself up without having a label or an expectation as to what it is that I am doing or what it is that I am focusing on as far as, I've been open. Like I've been open to being really authentic. Okay. So yes. So, and sorry if I stumble here. No, I'm not sorry that I stumble here because I am working it out with you. The reality of it is this is becoming something that is very much what I'm specializing in. And what I mean by that is I do distance healing. It's remote healing. It can be done via Zoom. You can just be in agreement to it without us talking, and then we can talk after. We can be on phone call, whatever it is. What I in particular specialize in using these natural abilities and these attunements that have been all beautifully blended by my spirit team now is I go into the quantum field, shamanic field, theta state, right? So that's a higher state or higher vibration. And I connect to your spirit team, my spirit team, your angels, your guides, ancestors, loved ones, whoever it is who's here for your healing. And we go in and heal your physical bodies if you need it. Not always if you're not ready. A lot of times people be like wanting something to happen, but they need to have some healing internally first before the physical rights itself, because we don't realize that most of our physical ailments start in our perispirit in particular, which is the external bigger part of ourselves. And then it works our way into physical. It can be emotional, it can be spiritual, it can be energetic, but those have to be addressed first for the physical then to finally work itself out, right? Because we're so attached to our physical body that we forget we're bigger and we are more than a physical body. And the rest of that has to be balanced out. So we go in, and I say we because it's not me. I'm facilitating, connecting with all of the beings and guides who have chosen to show up with so much love with your healing. And what we do is we do healings in the spirit world, past life healings, integrations of past lives into this current life so that you have all of you back complete. We do energetic healings for your physical body, your mental body, your health, your energy bodies, your spirit bodies. But also, we are going through now and clearing people's houses. This doesn't happen without your permission. You have to be willing to know that you are the one in charge and that you're ready for this to be cleansed. So what I mean by that is a lot of people invite people in to clean their house, but they're still not feeling like they're in charge. So I come in to aid them, but they are made aware from the very beginning that they're the ones who have to choose this, maintain it, and draw their boundaries after this with the spirit world, that they have to take ownership of their place. So we go in remotely, and I've actually closed portals in people's homes and cleared out the spirits, crossed over hundreds of spirits on someone's land. I have on multiple occasions. This is one of my specialties that I'm able to do remotely. And I'm so grateful for this ability, this gift, is we go in and we can, but only if you're aware of it and you're ready for it to be removed. We do entity removals. And so that could be an energy, it could be a spirit, it could be a low vibrational entity, it could be it's all kinds of things, but it's you having an attachment that is not yours, right? That is not a part of you. It's something that actually is external attaching to you. This can happen frequently when you are in a state of not trusting yourself. Maybe you've had dark times. So understanding that when I do these entity removals, my guides used to call them extractions. They are only when you've been doing your work, your vibrations got to a certain point, and now you're ready and you're aware. You're usually 100% of the time, when my clients come to me, they are fully aware that they have an attachment. Now they want to get it removed, but they are also doing their work, and they're committed to continuing doing the work after, to keep themselves solid, full of trust and confidence and love in themselves, so that cannot return and it cannot reattach. And then eventually that will move on. And when I say that, they're not bad. Spirits, low vibrational entities, they're not really bad. What they are is there for your learning, your growth potential, for you to learn how you're the most powerful thing in the room. But I do assist with that. So that's one of the things that I do. And I know I mentioned it in my last podcast, but I do that. And that's what I'm focusing now on, is offering these remote healings. Because every time I do them, there are profound experiences happening, not just with my clients, but for myself as well. And sometimes I can't believe that it's real, because I think, oh my gosh, am I just imagining it? And this is where getting really comfortable in the uncomfortable, right? Even trusting. And I share this with you because even though I come to you as a coach and a healer, I'm still also very much on my own journey. And we're all human. And it really serves you to know that you don't have to be perfect to be your greatest self. We're not meant to be perfect. We're just meant to be committed to our growth. We're meant to be willing to do the work to be our most authentic selves. Authenticity is truly the key to opening ourselves up to so much more love and connection with the spirit world. And so I share that with you, that there's times, if you've had experiences where you think you're going crazy, if you think, oh my gosh, is this even happening? Can this even be real? Maybe I need to go get checked out. Perfect. That means that you're actually questioning it. Stay skeptical so that you don't get taken advantage of, even in the spirit world. We are expected to be strong and independent and ask questions. That's part of our soul's journey, not to blindly trust, so that we know when we're working with a high vibrational entity or when we're not, so that you know that you can keep yourself safe and protected at all times, because you're the most powerful thing in the room. And so I share that with you. There's times when I do these healing, when I facilitate, because I'm not doing them, I'm facilitating. I open myself up through allowing the guides and beings that need to come through to do their work with me and for that person, but with that person's full knowledge, request, and agreement and permission. So we co-create this healing experience. And so that has come up big time since I moved here. And I was thinking, oh, I have a treatment off a room, which I do, and people can come see me in person. But what I have experienced is that it is just as powerful, and sometimes more powerful, when we do it remotely. And that is not something I really thought that I would offer. And now I'm looking at, how do I build that business? And so even in this podcast, you're going to watch and listen, or not watch because you're not going to see me, but you're going to witness via listening to my stories and being a part of this podcast community, my own transformation in this. And so I just invite you, I'm going to sign off because I don't even know how long I've been talking, but I'm going to invite you to actually enjoy your day. It is actually cold. So I am getting used to this weather. I have to bundle up every day now. It is going to be in the mid 70s today, which is so hot. Yesterday was like low 60s, overcast. So I'm definitely getting used to this new environment of being much colder. And I am still reveling in it and celebrating it and embracing it. And just enjoying it. And really appreciating that this brings a new vitality. And it has been increasing my desire to actually go out and walk, because when it's hot, let's be honest, you don't want to go out in the sun and be hot. So this is actually inviting me to get out and move more. And I love walking. I love exploring. I love the amount of nature. I literally have deer in my yard. It's amazing. I had wild turkey coming down the road the other day. I mean, I went from literally being in this tiny little room, having to really trust spirit, trust myself that this process was happening for a reason, to being in this big, beautiful roundhouse that overlooks the bay and ocean, that looks at a big forest. This entire city is so cute, and it's a coast town, and it's literally covered in pine trees. And so I'm looking out and seeing pine trees everywhere. And I'm enjoying wildlife in my backyard. It's such a transformation. And this would not have been possible, and this would not have worked the way it did, had I not willingly leaned into every uncomfortable moment, knowing there was a reason, doing it with curiosity, with passion, with full commitment, even finding the pleasure in it. And that's something I'm going to invite you. I know I said this in my introductory episode, but I invite you today to ask your spirit team and creator, whatever your name is for God, your higher self, creator, universe, whatever you use is perfect. Just reminding that you don't have to follow a certain guideline as to who and what you call your higher power. Just know that there is one and they hear you. And whatever you call them, they answer. They're okay with it. You don't have to fit in with everyone else. Goddess, goddesses, God, whatever it is, just own it. I invite you to just own it. When you ask them for all of your life experiences that happen from this point on for your soul's growth, ask for it to be with pleasure and celebration. See how it changes your experiences. Because that's what I started asking for. That is actually, I highly invite you. There's no competition in this world. I'm telling you, I do channeling, but there is this amazing psychic medium channeler. He's in Malibu. His name is Riz Mirza, Rizmirza. He sometimes jokes and calls those Riz the Wiz. He has a podcast. Him and his wife, Lady O or Oriya, they have a YouTube channel. They do free psychic medium readings for 2 hours every Sunday night called the Psychic Sunday. And he is the one who actually brought that through with one of his channelings. I believe it was his guide, the Red Eagle, who said, you can ask for every soul growth lesson that you have to be pleasurable and with celebration. It doesn't have to be painful. You just believe that it had to be, and therefore you experience it in that way. So I started changing that. Since I heard that, I literally was like, oh my gosh, I wonder what would happen. So I asked for all of my experiences from that point on to be pleasurable and full of joy and celebration. And now I'm in this amazing house, having such a good time. And so I invite you to start practicing that every day. So I don't know if I've told you in the past. I probably have. I repeat myself a lot. And I've been an instructor for years. And I did find that repetition really is key. And it's not because you don't hear it the first time, but sometimes we can only retain so much at the first round. So it does serve us to listen to things over and over again so that we can hear more nuances, retain more information, and really grow and learn from those stories and those experiences. And that is that I invite you to wake up every morning and say one thing that you're grateful for, one thing you're super proud of yourself for. And again, these are coming from wise beings. I got this from Theo, which is a channeled panel or archangels that channel through her name is Sheila Gillette. She's been channeling Theo for like almost 60 years now. But this is one of the advices she gave that has been so life-changing for me over the last few years. And that is to wake up every morning before your feet hit the ground and think of one thing or say one thing you're grateful for, one thing you're proud of yourself for, because we are such powerful creators and we forget to acknowledge that within ourselves. And then say, I'm open to receiving any and all help from the angelic realm on this new day. But I like to expand and say, I'm open to receiving any and all help from the angelic realm and my entire spirit team on this new day. And I even add personally, teach me, guide me, lead me, so that I may live my most divine purpose in my life. So you find your own wording, try it out, see how it works for you. And if it doesn't, that's okay. Try something different, right? Find the thing that works for you the most, but that really works for me because it also sets my mind that today is going to be a great day no matter what's happening, because I'll be able to see it from a higher perspective. And now I'm literally seeing it from a higher perspective. I'm literally at the top of the hill in the neighborhood, and I'm watching ships pass by and seeing the bay and seeing all this amazingness from my window. And that would not have been possible had I not been willing to go through that transformational time with so much willingness. So I invite you, where are you resisting? To just consider, where are you resisting? Where have you been seeing the patterns repeating themselves and even said, why does this keep happening to me? Well, the question is, what are you not learning? What are you not willing to change? Where are you not healing? And can you make that choice today, knowing that you are the most powerful thing in the room, to go ahead and commit to yourself to do the healing, to change the behavior, to change your environment? Do it with total trust in yourself. You are so supported. You have at least 30 or probably way more guides and beings that have specifically requested to be assigned to you in every lifetime you have lived for your soul to be there to help you. It's all in that help. You are not alone. You have so much support around you. And I remember that and I remind myself of that when I do feel lonely. We all feel lonely. And on those days, I ask my guides, can you make your presence super known to me today? Because I'm feeling lonely and I just need to remember you're there. So if you're having one of those days and you're listening to this, remember you can ask for help. You can ask to be comforted. You can ask to be guided. You can ask whatever your needs are, and they will jump to it. And they don't help you unless you give them permission. Free will in the angelic realm and also in the higher dimensions or higher vibrational realms is that they know you're capable. They know you've got it. So they don't invade your free will. And so therefore they don't help unless you ask them to. So this is a great starting point of learning how to ask for help. You may not be comfortable asking in the physical world right now, in the 3D world with other people. So I invite you to start practicing it in the spirit world. Wake up in the morning, check where you are, and ask for help. You can ask specific help. You can ask to say, you know what? I need soothing today. I feel anxious. Can you help to bring my anxiety down? Or I feel a little uncertain, or I feel a little depressed today. Can you help me to feel relief from that today? So being open to asking for help, or, you know what? I didn't get much sleep, but can you give me the feeling that like I had a full night's sleep? Can you help me feel energized today? Asking for that help, or just saying, if you're having a great day already, just say, you know what? I am so open to receiving any and all help. I give you full permission. Help me in whatever way necessary for my soul's growth, with fun, with pleasure, and celebration. Make this day a fantastic day and then trust that it's happening. And so that's what I'm going to leave you with is learning that when you become uncomfortable, that is an invitation. It is not for you to just be uncomfortable. That is an invitation of growth, of learning how to trust more and learning how to surrender more into the fold of what this life is. Learning how to let go of this 3D construct of what abundance, joy, happiness really is. Because that's one of the things that I'm being invited into. Sorry if I hit the mic, is to rewire what abundance really is. And I'll tell you what, our needs have been met like nobody's business in a way that I didn't think was possible. So I want that for you. I send that to you with love. If you're open to receiving it, then I send you the blessing of having an amazing experience today, of feeling intense, beautiful love, of having a shift in your mindset so that you do have a better day today. And if you're not having a great day today, that's okay too. What I'm going to invite you to do if you're having a low day is to love yourself in that lowness, because there's magic in there. There's medicine in there. That might be your invitation for you to look at where you are and to be honest with yourself. Are you actually happy or are you not? And if not, what small, tiny action step can you take today? When I say action step, it's not always physical. Is it just hanging up that disbelief and trying on a new coat for once that says, I do believe that things can be better. I'm going to be sad today, but I'm going to trust even in that sadness that there's magic happening and that I'm learning something and that I still choose to grow in the sadness, that I choose to grow and trust myself more deeply, that if I'm sad, I'm giving myself a message of what needs to change and being open to receiving the information of what needs to change. So sending you so much love. May you be in a warm space. And if it is cold, may there be sun shining anyway. May it be crisp air. May you enjoy the beginning stages of fall as it's flowing in. And may you find a new perspective today. Until next time, bye for now.